I'd like to introduce Maria Dineen, who is the Managing Director of Consequence UK. I'm keen to understand what CUK does and the difference it's trying to make as an independent RCA training and investigations business. Maria, I understand that there's two parts to your business. Could you tell me a bit about them?
Yes, I can, Bronwyn. One of our main business streams is providing education and training courses to professionals working in the health and social care industry. And those training programs tend to focus on either risk assessment, conducting risk assessments, and conducting adverse event investigations and safeguarding reviews. One of the big impetuses for us about that is that it's essential that where outcome of social care or healthcare is less than we hope for, that we're able to reflect on those experiences and learn the best lessons that we can so that service delivery improves for the future.
Thank you. Who do you work with?
Our main client group is NHS trusts, so mental health trusts, acute secondary care trusts, clinical commissioning groups. We do work with NHS England. We do work with some local area teams. We also do work in Ireland for the Health and Safety Executive. That would be our core business, really. And in terms of the NHS, we work predominantly in England and Scotland, and we also do some work in Wales. So it is a national-wide organisation.
Thank you. What does it mean to be independent in your industry?
Independent for Consequence UK means that we've got no affiliation with any of the organisations that we do investigations for, and we've got no affiliation with any of the organisations we're doing investigations in. That allows us to be objective, it allows us to be honest and thorough, and it allows us to give, I guess, objective advice as to what we feel is best required for the job in hand.
I've been really touched by your deep understanding about your subject matter. So could you tell me a little bit about your background before setting up and running CUK?
Yes, I can. I'm a midwife by profession. I originally trained as a nurse in the mid-1980s and then moved into midwifery. I worked as a midwife for about 10 years, and in 1994 I took a developmental post in Oxford, which was to set up a patient safety system in the maternity services there. So I was working in my professional group. From there I went to work for a new scheme in England in 1995, which was called the Clinical Negligence Scheme for Trusts. And that was just a fantastic, actually, work experience for me. It took me into a third of the trusts in the south of England, reviewing and working with them in developing risk management standards and systems and processes. I only stayed in that role for 18 months because I like to practice. I'm an operational person, really, rather than an assessment person. And I felt that that role was becoming too assessment orientated. So I took a substantive post back in the NHS as a corporate risk and claims manager at my local hospital in Worcestershire. And I also held a research fellow post at the Birmingham Health Services Management Centre at Birmingham University. And there I was able to indulge my passion for adverse event review and trying to make a difference in my own organisation so that if issues weren't working very well, we were able to look at those. They were quite challenging times. It was very, very new for the country then. But I was quite pleased with the progress that I made professionally, and also with the buy-in that I managed to achieve with the clinicians that I worked with. I then moved to mental health services in 2000. I took an Associate Director of Governance role back in Oxford, actually, and that was illuminating because the complexity of adverse event management in mental health services was something that I'd not experienced in secondary care acute. When you're working with mental health patients and working in a social context that you can't control as a professional, and you're working with families and you can't control those either, it brings a different layer of complexity to adverse event review work. In 2001, I had what I call a lucky break, really. I was invited to work with the organisation with a memory team who were helping to set up the National Patient Safety Agency. And I was invited to work with them. And I had an opportunity and was able to put a proposal together about how I felt we could investigate adverse events successfully in England. That proposal was accepted. It was road tested for 9 months. It very much underpins the framework for adverse event reviews and the standards that are required now in 2014. And I really started doing a lot of training work then, both on behalf of the National Patient Safety Agency and also independently. And that naturally took me into investigating independently. My first investigation was in 2003. I was invited by a mental health service if I would work with them and support their in-house team. That actually became a public inquiry. And ever since that time, so that would have been 2004, I've been, tendering for and leading independent investigations. And I find the work valuable, I find it grounding, certainly keeps your feet on the ground. It's also influenced how I work with staff who are learning how to investigate adverse incidents, because it gives me a great blend of theory and practice. And I've been able to try out the theory and try out a whole range of different investigation tools to get a grounded sense of where they work and where they don't work in any given situation. And I quite enjoy that actually, as well as feeling that it helps me deliver a good job.
Thank you. What are you most proud of in running the business all these years?
What am I most proud of? I'm proud it survived. Actually, I think I'm proud it survived, that it's grown, that I've expanded our business base. My understanding is for self-starters, if you like, to be going 10, 12 years, well, it's 12 years now down the line, and to have expanded the business base is a reasonable achievement. So I'm quite proud of that. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that even now, 10, 12 years down the line, I'm struggling to remember how long I've been doing the training for. So it's 2014, so actually I've been doing training for 14 years. That even now, when we deliver workshops, people find them inspiring and they feel enthused to go and work differently out in the workplace. I'm very proud that I've not lost my passion or my enthusiasm for what I do.